boys, here we go. Come on.
All right, boys, let's have some fun.
Welcome to the Galbraith Report. It's a Champions edition because we have a champion in the Stanley Cup. Congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes who lifted the cup in 6. And with me, Craig Andersen, an ice hockey reporter from Scotland, as a former ice hockey professional, the man that knows the game far more than I ever will. It's Jade Galbraith, who's feeling a bit smug because you predicted not only the Canes would win it, but they'd win the final in 6. So I want the lottery numbers off you a bit later. But what a series, Jade. We couldn't have asked for anything better, could we?
No, it was like you ask, we're reporters, or you're a reporter. I'm, just a podcast guy, but hockey guy. And you read or talk to all these hockey guys, and they're all saying the same thing. It was one of the best cup finals there's been in a long time, just because of the goals, the storylines. Like, there's just so much going on. Every game I watched, it got better and better every game. It just, like I said at the start, I thought that it would be a 2-1, 3-2 kind of series, and the 25 goals in the first 3 games is pretty crazy. So it was either Carolina wins in 6. If Carolina win, or if Vegas won last night, I think Vegas would have won at home. So I just think Vegas, if they won last night, they probably would have pulled it out. So it was one of those things. I just thought Carolina, top to bottom, it was their year. Vegas, Cinderella story, nobody really picked them to come out, everybody Colorado. But that being said, congratulations to Carolina. They well-deserved, great storyline, 20 years since their last cup. The brothers, the Staal brothers, Taylor Hall rejuvenated his career, Stankoven, and then Bussi, what he did in his 30 games is pretty amazing too. So we'll talk about all of that. But yeah, got lucky on game 6, but I just had a feeling Carolina was just too much. Yeah.
You did. You absolutely called it. You said it from the start that the Canes would win the cup. And that was back 2 months ago when we started doing these shows as well. But what a way to do it. They go to Vegas. It's already tough going to Vegas to try and get themselves over the line, but they did it with a shutout, and they did it so well. And I think that's the most impressive thing for me. I felt momentum was with them going into the game last night. They'd won the previous 2 games. To do it with a shutout, it was quite impressive.
It's funny that, Bieksa was talking about that on Hockey Night Canada there, and they went to game 7 and they got shut out by Boston in the final game. It's crazy that, those clinching games, the team that loses just can't buy a goal, can't find one, and that wasn't the case in the first, 4 games. They could score at will. Eichel had, I don't even know, he had 2 crossbars, a ton of legit chances. Dorofeev off the pass from Eichel there, but Bussi just, holy cow, again, he got better every single game, and I think the team in front of him too they knew what he could do. His regular season stats were unbelievable. It was like 32-6 and whatever in the regular season. It sucks that he didn't get to start the playoffs, but Andersen was the better goalie at the start, or was ready to go. And Andersen, nothing against him. He got them then to the final. But again, like we always say, you have to win. Bussi was there, ready to go, and I just love his interviews. I loved everything about him. He was so engaged. He was just happy to be there. A younger rookie, but an older man, 28 years old or whatever he is. Another just unbelievable storyline. I'm so happy for that kid to be able to do that. And goaltending's hard. Like, Hart did, what a season for him. I don't want to take anything away from Vegas, but Hart, the battle he had to face, with World Junior stuff, and then coming back into the league, and then now finding a team and going to the Stanley Cup Finals, that's got to be a huge confidence booster for him.
Yeah.
And, it didn't work out in the final, but he should be really, really proud of the season he had.
Well, I had Bussi in my list a little bit further down, but let's cover it just now because you've touched on it already. I think game three was the key one. We could see that Andersen was struggling. He conceded those, 6 goals as it turned out in that second period. The first two were sort of chopped off. He conceded another four. And I remember texting you at the time and sort of wondered why the coach, take nothing away from the coach, the guys who just won the Stanley Cup, why he didn't take Andersen off sooner, but he did. He removed him at the end of the second period. Bussi came in, never looked back, and it just seemed as though Andersen was struggling. It's later come out he was suffering a knee injury that he picked up in game two. I think there was one or two little bits of speculation in the media that might have been a head knock, even a slight concussion. But regardless, we could see he was struggling. Bussi just never ever looked back. And you touched on some of the saves he made. I noted one down from game six. There was one he was actually sitting on the ice, and it was the chance from Thomas Hurtle right in front of him. And then I think more or less in that same pattern of play, Mark Stone right in front as well. And he just, talk about coming up big. You put a guy like that in a situation like the Stanley Cup final where you've never had any experience of such a high pressure situation like that, and you come up big, not only in that game last night, but the two games before it as well, and really backstop the Hurricanes to victory. I think that's a key component of their success here. Take nothing away from Andersen, as you rightly say, he's been excellent all the way through. That injury just got to him in the end, and it was significant when Jordan Staal lifted the cup that the first person he handed it to was Freddie Andersen.
Yeah, and again, it's so hard, like, to be goalies. Like I say, goalies is the hardest position to play. Like, it's nuts what you have to deal with. If you have a great game, you have the praise. If you have a game that you're good but you lose, like, you take all the blame. It's really hard position. And Freddie played unbelievable up until the finals. I think Vegas just had his number. Some teams just have your number. You have Kelly Rudy was talking about it. There are certain teams where he just couldn't stop a beach ball. And he was just, every time he just dread playing against him. And I think that is something that maybe got in his head a bit. Concussion, stuff like that. We don't know because they're never going to come out. It might come out in the offseason. But nothing, Staal bringing it to him, that's huge. All the players know that it wasn't Freddie's fault that they were losing, but again, they had to make a change, and it's nothing personal. Freddie gets a ring. I think if he could say, we'll see if I played the rest of the series and I might have won the Stanley Cup, or Bussi goes in there and we win the Stanley Cup, he'd take the Stanley Cup. I'm positive he would. It just, it sucks the way it ended for his on ice play. But again, Bussi, he deserved the chance. He went in there and like you said, other than the game three, he was unbeatable. He was just like Carolina just looked in control the next 3 games. And that's what happens when you have a confident team in front of your goalie.
Let's talk about Jordan Staal then. 37 years old. It's the longest gap between Stanley Cups. He first won it with the Penguins in 2009. Now he's won it this year. 17 years. And he got the Conn Smythe Trophy as well. Was that deserved in your opinion?
Well, like we were talking about before, the top 4 guys were the 2 goalies, Hart and Andersen, and then Marner and Stankoven. So going into the finals, Marner played well, but you can't really give it to a guy. There's only been 1 or 2 guys, I think 2 guys that have ever gone to Conn Smythe on a losing team. That's McDavid and John Sebastian Aguirre, I think, when he was just out of control in the finals, but they ended up losing. So I agree with the record he got, the way he played. He wasn't a 37-year-old man in that series, man. He just looked like he had his legs under him. He looked like a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, and I was so happy. My wife was asking me. I had a buddy over as well. They were asking me who you thought, and they were kind of the media was kind of inching towards it being Staal or Hall. But again, Hall he had a great game 6. He was really good the whole series, but Staal just he was just a step above. And I think again the storyline of 20 something years from his last cup,
17.
They're 17, and then just a great storyline, but he did deserve it. So I agree 100% with that call. Pretty amazing. Like, if he retired tomorrow, he'd probably be the happiest guy to go out like that. There's nothing better. They're just there's not a better season he could have had. So
Definitely not.
I can't see him retiring. I think he'll probably play another year or two. They might go for the repeat next year and want to try to repeat, which if they keep everybody together and healthy, I think it'll be them and Florida in the conference finals. That's far away, but I just think they have the team. They have a couple old guys, but if they keep the core together, man, they could go for another run.
I was listening to one of the podcasts I listened to, Daily Face Off. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And they mentioned the fact that Staal, before the game, they mentioned him as a potential Conn Smythe winner. And I think the argument was made that, well, he hadn't really done much up until the final. And then he went on that epic scoring streak where I think he scored in each of the first 5 games. But as was highlighted, it was his contribution throughout the playoffs, not just the final itself. He did do all these little things that you maybe didn't notice throughout the rest of the other playoff series as well. It was just his overall play. And yeah, he absolutely led by example. And I'll be honest, I thought Mitch Marner was the guy that was going to win it. I thought that hat-trick in Game 3 was going to be more than enough, but after that, you never saw Mitch Marner again much. So, yeah, Jordan Staal, the Conn Smythe winner, and congratulations. And I also liked the images of him with his brothers who were all there, and they were all there. I think they were all there to congratulate him. I thought that was lovely as well.
Absolutely. And again, Bieksa was talking about, when I won a championship with the East Coast, you want to bring your family and, to celebrate it with you. But you never know which game. Like those guys can bring their families to every game. When you're making a little bit less money, it's a little bit harder. But when that happens, it's an amazing feeling. But like Bieksa said, the pressure of, trying to pull it out in Vegas, you know what I mean? Like the money aside, who cares? But having them all there and, it's just winning the cup's hard enough. So to be able to bring your family there and, play the way they did, like they deserved it. Taking nothing away from Vegas. But I have a couple notes here about the series and Carolina's puck management in the last 3 games. You watch, they never went through the middle, and they always were, when you talk about hockey, you talk about the middle of the ice being the highway, and then the ditches are the boards, and they played in the ditches all the time. Whenever you have the puck, you want to be in the ditch, and they were dumping pucks perfectly in, getting on the forecheck. Vegas is more of a freewheeling team, so you watch the last 3 games of the series, game 4, 5, and 6. Carolina went to a 1-2-2 forecheck, and a neutral zone 1-2-2 as well. And doing a 1-2-2 has more guys back, and Vegas just got no speed through the neutral zone, and they're not a dump and chase team. That's not their game. Their speed through the neutral zone, and when you don't have that and you have to dump the puck in and you have to play a different style of game, it's hard. They stayed with their 2-1-2 forecheck. They were on Carolina's D, but Carolina's D, they were simple, off the glass, off the boards. It's easy to say because Carolina won, but they played a system where the chances they took were in the offensive zone, not the neutral zone. And when you take chances in the neutral zone, it can go one of 2 ways. You can score 14 goals in 3 games and be up 2-1 in the series, and then it can be like what happened in the last 3 games, where Carolina shut down the chances that they got. Again, if it wasn't for the power play in the first period of last night's game, Vegas would have had 5 shots again in the first period. And 5 shots isn't going to cut it, especially with the way Bussi was playing. But that was what won the game, was Bussi in the last that power play they had at the end of the first period, and he was unbelievable. Like you touched on, I think he won game 6 for them. Just the way he was, like the saves he was making. And it was, I was out of my seat a couple times. It was pretty crazy.
Right, we mentioned the fact that Staal celebrated with his brothers. One of his brothers actually played over here for a year, Jared. Jared played with Edinburgh Capitals for a year in the Elite League. I was just looking there. He's now the head coach of Savannah Ghost Pirates. Now, get this. Did you know you played with one of their cousins?
One of the Staal cousins?
Yep.
Who's that?
Jeff Hirema.
Really? Hirema was their cousin? No way.
Yeah. According to Elite Prospects, Jeff is their cousin. You played with Jeff at Nottingham season 10-11.
Yeah, he was actually my roommate, to tell you the truth. He was my roommate in Nottingham. Great, unbelievable guy. Absolutely. We got along really well. Love that guy. He was a Carolina first-round draft pick, too.
There you go. And did they never mention his cousin who'd won the cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who's just won it again?
No, again, I didn't even know. I think he talked about the Staals or whatever. But again, it's hockey guys really, they don't brag about stuff like that, right? Again, it's family and stuff. But no, I did not know that. And you know what's funny is he looks and talks and acts like the Staals too, like just kind of that kind of mopey kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I just great guy. So no, but I didn't know that. But that's pretty funny.
It's true what they say. It is a small world, isn't it? It really is.
Hockey world is so small, buddy. You're totally right. Yes.
So let's talk about Vegas then. Obviously, Vegas, to have a winner, you need a loser. Unfortunately, it's the Vegas Golden Knights. We've touched upon them so much all the way through these playoffs. They just came up short in the end. They can take so many positives from the season they've had. The fact that we're even in the final, I would say, is an achievement. Yep. I thought it was a gamble when they ditched Bruce Cassidy for John Tortorella, but what a run he's been on. I saw a quote this morning. I don't know why they do this. Well, I do know why they do this. I just think it's the wrong time to ask the question. But I get they have to ask it regarding his future, because he's only there to the end of the season. Well, the season's now finished. So the first thing we're asking him was, what's happening with you? What are you doing after this? And Tortorella quite rightly went, look, this isn't the moment. It stings. He needs time to process it before he considers what he's going to do next season. Yeah. Do you think he's got the taste for it to go back to Vegas next year? I
do. I really do. I think, he's got a team there that's just like Carolina, that's exciting, that, they have the horses there, again, with injuries. They had 3 good players out. They had a guy that played only 26 games in the regular season in Game 6 of Stanley Cup. That rookie that was playing, I forget what his name was, but they had a D-man that hadn't played much either. So Carlson won a Stanley Cup, great player in his own right. He couldn't play, injury of some sort. So
yeah.
It's just one of those things that's so hard to stay healthy. And what did I say before the series started? I said Vegas forwards are going to get pounded into oblivion. They're big. The D for Vegas are big. They're big, or for Carolina are big. Slavin and Chadfield. I call him Chetfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I call him Chetfield. I don't know why I do, but anyway, those 2 guys are both like 6'4". They're pounding, they're stepping up on them all the time. It's relentless. So a smaller forward core. Now, I'm not talking they're all small, but when you're getting hit and hit and hit and hit and hit, it's a little bit different than, rubbed out or pushed or this or that, right? So I think they just grinded them down. They just, the D, Carolina's D doesn't get any credit for anything. They really don't. They get credit for their defensive play, and that's how you win Stanley Cups. You put Carolina's D core with the Edmonton Oilers the last 2 years, and the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup easily. Not even a hope in the world that they don't. They win because of the way they play defense. They're up in your face. They have great sticks. Gostisbehere obviously did awesome on the power play, got his points, but they're not there to play offense. As the defenseman, you're there to stop goals. That's your job. That's why it's called defense. So when you're cheating all the time to the offense, that's just not how it should be. And they take pride in their D. But again, back to Vegas, I think they just got beat up. They got really, really beat up. They never switched. Tortorella, great coach, but they never switched to dumping pucks in and banging and crashing. That is something that playoff hockey, the teams that win the playoffs, like Florida did it, they dump and chase. They got on you all the time and they wore you down. Vegas, I think, like we were going back to, I think Tortorella has a great group of guys there. Like I always say, when you add a few good pieces, the pieces are going to leave 100%. It's a business first. Family, you got to make your money. So if Vegas keeps the core group together, I think that they would be, if not the favorite next year, 1A or 1B next year going into the season. So if I'm Tortorella, I would stay. see if he could do it, and actually, pull it out at the end. But I think he'll stay, to tell you the truth.
One thing that Tortorella was asked about prior to Game 6, and the reporter, I don't think, asked the question in the way I think he wanted to. It was regarding Carter Hart and whether he would play in Game 6. I don't know if you heard that, but he dismissed it out of hand. Again, without fully hearing the question that the reporter wanted to put to him. Were you surprised that Aden Hill, who won the Cup with the Golden Knights, didn't even get a minute through these playoffs?
Yeah, that's something that, Torts, when he finds a question stupid, he'll embarrass you because he doesn't want to answer it, right? He's smart on that. He'll embarrass you and put the embarrassment back on you because he doesn't want to have to answer the question. So I think in his head, he was really up and down with playing Hart in the last game. I think so. I do. Now, Hart in last night's game 6, I thought he played really well. Like, he made some huge saves. It could have easily got out of hand in the first half of the game. I think it could have been 4 or 5-0 if Carter Hart didn't play the way as well as he played. Everybody says about, which drives me crazy, is I've been reading stuff about the first goal that Carter Hart let in. Guys that score goals in the NHL or score goals anywhere, I teach shooting. The goalies are taught to go up with their glove, up with their blocker. So to go low glove, it's these kids thinking that you got to go barring in every time to beat a goalie. You don't. Goalies are big. They're going to flinch one way or the other. And you watch how many low glove goals were in the playoffs this year. Tons of them. Low blocker, tons of them, because it's the hardest spot to stop. So that's why Carter he got kind of grinded by these couple of these guys saying, "Oh, he should have 100% stopped that first shot." No, that was perfectly placed. Just skimmed the bottom of the pad, went in. That's how you score. You can't score in the NHL unless there's people in front of the net, off of tips, off of rebounds, back doors. That's the way you score. Elite shooters. Hall scored 450 goals in the NHL before. He knows how to score. So when people say that was a bad goal, I just laugh at him. It's a friggin' joke. It really bothers me because, again, that is a perfectly placed shot, and I'd like to see any other goalie stop that. There's no way that was perfectly placed. So again, I thought Hart really, really did well that last game, but on the other hand, you just lost 2 games in a row. You almost blew a 4-0 lead. I might have went to Aden Hill, but that's the thing is hindsight's 20/20. You put Aden Hill in, you lose 3-0, then you're the worst coach in the world. You put Hart in, you lose 3-0, and you should have played Aden Hill. You can't win for losing. So yeah, it's just one of those things.
Right, and I think it's only right we spend some attention on the winning coach, the Canes coach, Rod Brind'Amour. The fourth man, you asked this question in one of the previous shows about who has won it as captain and coach for the same franchise. NHL Media actually put out a graphic about an hour ago, and I grabbed it and listed the names. So Rod Brind'Amour joins a very exclusive club. Cooney Wyland from Boston captained them in 1931, coached them in 1941. Hap Day of the Toronto Maple Leafs captained them in 1932 and coached them to victory 5 times up until 1962, 52, I can't read my writing. And then there was Toe Blake, Montreal Canadiens, captained them twice as a player in 44 and 46, and then coached them to victory 8 times, the last of which was in 1968, and now Rod Brind'Amour. And I love the pictures of him holding the cup like an old friend is the best way of putting it.
Yeah,
you can't help but smile at those pictures.
It's just an amazing storyline. Like it pulls at your heartstrings for sure. Like he's such a, like you see him and he's focused and he's it's not that he's an angry guy, but he's so determined and it's contagious. You just want to cheer for him. He's so endearing and every player that's played with him, that's obviously there's some guys that they rub each other the wrong way, but for the most part you don't hear anything about him that doesn't just say what a coach. So I was pulling for him 100%. Four conference finals in a row that they lost and out of like 3 of those
it's been a steady progression. You're right to get to this point. Yeah.
so hard to even get to those conference finals, and to do it every year and to stay positive. Like it could break, somebody just say, well, it's not going to work. I'm going to go somewhere else or this or that. He's just loves Carolina so much that he can, he's just, the hockey gods are, they don't give you a lot, but I think they're the team this year and they deserved it. It's not the gods giving it to them, but they deserved it. And I just think he had as much to do with the win as the players did. Just a great story, great guy, great end of the season, great Stanley Cup Finals. It just couldn't have ended any better, I don't think. Anyway.
Yeah. And the tributes to him from the players as well. They were interviewed on the ice after the game last night. It was really nice as well. And you get that real sense of togetherness from the players. And as you said, going back to the conference victories in recent years, it just seems like that they fell short a little bit. And it's like he knew how to fix it. He knew what area he needed to upgrade in. And he did it, and he brought these guys in, maybe guys that weren't fancied at the teams they were at previously. And they all fit, they all played a part. And that was the great thing about it. And eventually, as you say, it could have got to a point where he went, no, I've done all I can do and moved on somewhere else. But no, he kept believing in what he was doing. He knew where he needed to fix it, and he did. And this is his reward.
Yep. Absolutely. It's so hard to win a Stanley Cup. And some teams make it look easy, Florida winning 2 in a row, Tampa, and, all those teams that were, winning multiple cups. It is so hard. It's a grind, 82-game season, and then to play, how many games did they play? They played
16-3 overall. I seen that graphic earlier, and I think it's the best record postseason since the Oilers in the late 80s. So again, just shows you just how good they've been.
Exactly, and nothing against Vegas. Vegas, I think they lost 6 games or something, right? Yeah. So they swept 4-2, 4-2, 4-0, and then 5 games lost or 6 games or whatever. You look at that side of things, and you only lose 6 games in the playoffs, and you lose the series, right? Or 6 or 7 games, whatever it was. But great, exciting, great storylines. Just one of those things, that it just was for me anyway. This is the best, the most I've been excited about Stanley Cup Finals in a long time. So
yeah, we've absolutely loved it. I've absolutely loved it. So the question is, what do we do now? Well, I've got the World Cup to keep me going. Scotland are in it, so.
Yeah, exactly. How are they doing right now?
Well, we won our first game against Haiti. So
I should hope so.
It wasn't a comfortable victory. It wasn't comfortable. We've got Morocco next. That's going to be tricky. And Canada did well. They got a point against Bosnia in their first game.
Yeah, again, they're saying that we're supposed to come out of the first pool here, but again, Switzerland, obviously, and I don't know. Like we need a win. You need one win at least to get to the second round. We'll see. Again, I'm hoping rather than expecting for sure. Canada men's soccer is just it's not there right now.
Well, we'll call an end to it there. We wanted to obviously cover the Stanley Cup final and all that went with that. So, yep, again, congratulations, Carolina Hurricanes. They are the Stanley Cup winners for 2026. We're going to do our next edition, and we're going to give it an awards flavour. I've called it the Galbies. In honor of my co-host here. So we'll come up with some categories, and we'll chat about the players and who we think are worthy of those awards. But in the meantime, Jade, a pleasure as always. We'll call a halt to it there. Hopefully we'll be back again soon. Life getting in the way. We would like to have been back a bit sooner, but life is what it is, isn't it?
Until somebody sponsors us a ton of money to do this every couple of days, I think we're going to have to just do it when we do it. But I've had a blast so far. Great playoffs, Craig. I just, I'm happy to do this with you, buddy, and we can keep doing this over the off season, and then, have at her again next year.
Absolutely. Right. In the meantime, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. And we'll be back for the next edition of the Galbraith Report. In the meantime, have a great week or whatever. We'll catch you next time.